everyone, and welcome to Marketing Mindset. My name is Madeline Evans, and I am the marketing manager here at Setup. At Setup, our mission is to connect marketers with the right people and resources, and the best way we can do that is by learning directly from the experts shaping the industry every day. You may know about our CMO Spotlight series where we feature top marketing leaders. Well, the marketing mindset is a little different. This series highlights the specialists, strategists, media managers, creatives, and operators who are making the magic happen on the ground floor every day. And because great marketing doesn't just happen in the C-suite, it happens through the mindset, creativity, and expertise of all the people doing the work. Today, for our very first episode, we're excited to interview Jenny Reineck, the social media manager at NCR Voyix, to talk about her role, perspective, and the lessons she's learned along the way. Hi, Jenny.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to
We're
chat.
so we're so excited you're here, and it's extra exciting because I met you at the beginning of my marketing career, and you met the Setup CEO and founder Joe Kaufman at the beginning of your marketing career. So it's just extremely fitting and exciting to have you as our first guest for the series. Tell us about NCR Voyix, your role there, and your team.
Absolutely. So, NCR Voyix, if you haven't heard of us, we are the platform-powered leader in unified commerce for shopping and dining. So, when you use a self-checkout machine like at Walmart, or when you pay for your meal at a restaurant, you're likely interacting with our technology in some way. And my role at the company, I'm on the marketing team and I lead our social media efforts. So the social media team is a small but mighty team. It's myself and one other person against the world. And together we are part of the digital strategy team. So we work closely with the brand team, the product marketing teams, the events team to drive success for the business through our social media channels.
Awesome. So, what interested you about marketing that led you to your career today?
So that is quite a journey through my past. So my dad, he was the CFO of an ad agency here in Atlanta. It used to be called Kilgannon, and now it's part of Dalton. And he was working here in Atlanta at that ad agency. And when I was as young as I think 14, I wanted to get a little part-time work in. And so he said, why don't you come to my office and help out with some filing and answering the phone? And you can make a little extra money that way. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And so I went and did that. And I'll never forget, like, as I was filing the invoices, I would like look at them to see who was invoicing us and for how much and for what. And I would like file it away. And then when we would drive home, because obviously we carpooled to work together, I would ask him questions about it. I'd be like, "Oh, I saw an invoice from like this company. Like, what does that mean? Like, why are we working with them?" I like had all these questions, and he thought it was so funny because I have an older sister, who also went through the part-time job of filing invoices at my dad's office, and he was like, "Your sister didn't have any of these questions. Like I don't think she looked at the invoices. I don't think she cared what she was filing." So he was very like intrigued that I was asking questions about the invoices. And so
That's
that's I think
incredible.
I think that's when I first knew like, okay, I'm interested in like businesses, how businesses work, and I knew I wanted to go into business in some form or fashion. So then when I went to college, I went to Elon in North Carolina. And I went into the business school, but I wasn't totally sure what specific area I wanted to major in. But I started taking a lot of business classes, and marketing was definitely my favorite group of classes that I took. We got to do a lot of fun group projects for marketing. And so ultimately, I decided to major in marketing. Got some internships from there, and I was like, okay, this is definitely what I want to do. Marketing is a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. That is incredible. You could either do like a TED Talk or go to high schoolers to tell them about your journey because that's so
Yeah.
inspiring, especially to find your passion at such a young age. And I also feel like it just showed that you're a very curious person and you're a very collaborative person. And I feel like that's marketing attracts those types of people. So that's really, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
What is the best part of your job?
Well, the best part of my job, I would have to say, is probably variety. So it's funny because I mentioned my dad, he was a CFO, so he was an accountant, and my mom is also an accountant. They're both CPAs. And when I was in business school, I took some accounting classes, some finance classes, and even though I did enjoy those classes, I was worried that I would get bored doing the same thing over and over. And I'm sure some finance and accounting people will hear that and be like, "What are you talking about? I do different stuff every day." But I wanted to have a lot of variety, and that's definitely the best part of my job today is all the different things that I get to do every day. I get to try out new things, learn new skills, feel challenged in new ways, just like with any human, I have things I'm great at and things I can improve upon. And so I get the opportunity to flex all of those different muscles every day. And even though I go into work being like, okay, here's some things I know need to get done today, inevitably some curveballs get thrown my way and it makes every day exciting. So that's probably the best part of my job.
Oh man, I love that because some people would be frustrated by having to adapt so quickly. And in marketing, like it's constant, industry is constantly changing. So you have to be adaptable to that. I also love the honesty of like, I'm human, I'm not good at everything, which
Yeah.
is totally fine. We're always learning.
Yes.
Tell us about a social campaign that had a big impact on you or your organization.
Sure. So, to give a little more background on NCR Voyix, so we used to be NCR Corporation, and we actually split the company in two back at the end of 2023. So NCR Voyix being focused more on shopping and dining, retail and restaurants. So in 2024, we had this new company name and this new focus. And 2024 was all about brand awareness because we were like, well, no one is going to really have heard of us. And if they have heard of us, they've heard of NCR and not NCR Voyix. So we wanted to make sure we get our name out there and get people familiar with the new us. So in 2024, we launched a pretty large brand campaign. We worked closely with an agency here in Atlanta and with our brand team to run a brand campaign with brand awareness as our main goal. And paid social was a huge part of that. So that was kind of my piece of it that I was working on. And it also gave us an opportunity to really work on a truly evergreen campaign. Because historically, like I had done a lot of like, okay, we have this specific goal we're trying to accomplish. Like, let's throw some money at it and do some paid social. And we didn't have like an always on campaign. So I was excited to get to do that. And that was kind of a first for us back in 2024. And it really opened up a lot of other marketing opportunities for us. I remember at the time when we were working on it, I was like, wow, I get to do real marketing, which you can't always say at like a B2B company, especially. So it was a lot of fun, and I definitely learned a lot of new things during that campaign.
Oh, cool. Do you mind sharing a little bit about the new things you've learned? Because I feel like paid social is such like it's a tough nut to crack for some people.
Yes.
Not only in marketing, but even in like I do a lot of event stuff and event marketing outside of setup, and it's just people are like, well, just do paid, but you can't throw money at it like you said. So it's amazing that you guys were able to do this strategy that has been evergreen for you, that you're still reaping the benefits of it. Do you mind expanding a little bit more on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we not only did, so like historically, when we would do the one-off campaigns, they would usually be on LinkedIn. So that was like where most of my experience was with paid advertisements on LinkedIn. And it's also very easy to get super specific about the audience that you're targeting on LinkedIn. And with the brand campaign, since our goal was brand awareness, we were putting paid ads on Meta. We even did an ad campaign on Reddit for a few months. So I got to learn about all the different ad platforms in each of those social networks, how they do their targeting is all very different depending on who you're trying to target and with what. So I kind of went from really only knowing the LinkedIn ad platform to dabbling in all of them to a certain extent. And then also because I had a seat at the table for the overall brand campaign, I really got to see how paid social fit into the overall campaign. And I got a glimpse, at least, at like what we were doing with paid search and display ads and geo-targeted ads, and we did some podcast ads. I even got to help like write the copy for some of the podcast ads. So I just kind of learned a lot of new things, and I felt more like it kind of reminded me of back when I used to work at an agency because I was like, oh yeah, like we're doing all the advertising. It's a lot of fun.
Wow. Okay, that definitely probably scratched the itch of I like variety. I like doing something different. I
Yes.
like learning. Okay, you saying Reddit, like I know you just shared an article about Reddit yesterday on LinkedIn.
Yes.
I love LinkedIn. It's my favorite platform of all the social channels. I'm a sucker. But okay, you mentioning all of that, I'm curious, even podcast ads, which was
Yeah.
your favorite to do or which worked best for you guys? Something unexpected or just like, okay, tried and true, LinkedIn is where we should always be. That's so fascinating that you explored all of those arenas.
Yes. Yeah. And it definitely depended on like who we were targeting with what. Because with Reddit, we were really focused on our restaurant space, because there's a lot of different subreddits that cater to people who work in the restaurant industry. So we were targeting those specific restaurant subreddits, which was interesting that you can target people based on what subreddits they're a part of. I didn't know that
Oh,
before I
cool.
started working on this campaign. And yeah, with the podcast ads, I was actually like, it was literally on a weekend, and the term techspert popped into my head. And I was trying to like convey if you were like a technology expert, you could call yourself a techspert. But I was like, that you can really only do this in an audio platform because you can't write out the word techspert. It doesn't make any sense. So I like when I got to work on Monday, I mentioned it to the brand team. I was like, what if we had like audio only ads and we said like we can be your techspert? And she was like, I love that. Like we're doing that. And I was like, yay, I helped with a podcast ad.
That's so cool. I would feel like Conan O'Brien or Amy Poehler if I did that. I'd be like,
Yes,
I did a podcast. I did
yes,
the ad of a podcast. Oh my goodness. And Reddit keeps emailing me to be like, we want you to advertise here. And I don't know, you're pulling a very convincing campaign right now. What do you wish were different about social media marketing?
Um, well, to talk about what I wish were different about social media marketing, I feel like I also have to talk about what I wish were different about social media. Because it's funny that we're talking about Reddit and you mentioned the article I shared on LinkedIn this week about Reddit. On Instagram and TikTok, there are people who have made a living out of being content creators. And I would love if we could like move away from content creator careers and instead move more towards the community model of social media that Reddit has completely nailed. Because I feel like what I love about social media is that it has the ability to create community. And I'm kind of like repeating some of my LinkedIn post here, but I feel like people should gather around topics that they're interested in rather than around people they're interested in. And that's why I love Reddit. That's why Reddit is probably one of my favorite social platforms because if we did all kind of buy into this community model of social media, I do still feel like there's an opportunity for brands there. There's an even better opportunity for brands to exist in that space because they can show up more authentically. Um, and even Facebook has kind of turned a corner in the last few years of doing this by focusing more and more on Facebook groups. And Facebook has way more users than Reddit. So it kind of gives them an opportunity to create hyper-local communities, because Reddit doesn't necessarily have uh, all the same amount of users as Facebook. You know, there's like a subreddit for the state of Georgia, and I think there's one for Atlanta, but it's like not very active. But then you go on Facebook, and I'm being suggested Facebook groups that not only are specific to Atlanta, but specific to like the neighborhood of Atlanta that I live in. It's like people around you are talking about this restaurant that opened up 2 miles from you, and it's like, whoa, okay, like For You page too local, like it's a very, very local. And so I love that like we can kind of create these online spaces where people can feel like they're part of a community and like reach out to their community and get support from their community. And so that's what I wish were different about social media. And then I think if we could get there, then brands have an opportunity to show up, like I was saying, more authentically in that space. Because if we are creating a community where everyone is like supportive and helpful, then brands can show up in the spaces where they're actually needed the most and be like, hey, we can help with that. So that's kind of my idealistic dream state of social media.
I love that so much. I feel like I keep saying that. I feel like I keep going, I love that. But truly, I'm such a community-driven person.
Mm.
And one of Setup's values is being approachable because we've noticed like, oh, okay, we connect people, we cultivate community. And at the end of the day, that's what people are drawn to. People want that is basically what I'm
Yes,
trying to say.
yes,
And we are so like, I mean, especially with social, it almost has made us more distant from one another, that like people crave connection. So like as we get more and more technological, like connection is what helps people and businesses thrive. That's yeah. So finding where you're needed. I really like that. And focusing on like who people are rather than what they are. You
yes,
mentioned like, yeah, instead of focusing on connecting to the person, it's connecting to the group. Like
yes.
I really like that. Um, what does NCR Voyix do differently that makes your social stand out? And what could other industries do to improve their social strategy?
Ooh, great question. Um, so I feel like hopefully by now a lot of brands and companies have figured this out, but especially in the B2B space, I feel like what is really a key to success is focusing on the customer, especially when it comes to your B2B marketing, telling your customers stories. There's a lot of pressure internally when you work in marketing to talk about the company, which really means like talking about yourself. And it's like, okay, people don't want to hear you talk about yourself. They want to hear you talk about them and their problems and the solutions to their problems, and they want relevant content and something that they can relate to. And if you're just talking about yourself, you know, they're not necessarily going to relate to that. So it's definitely something that we are trying to do more and more of is tell our customers stories. And because we are fortunate enough to get to work with retail stores and restaurants, we have a ton of customers that have great stories. So we really like to tap into that, especially when people have realized their dream of opening up their own restaurant or owning their own retail store. And we want to be able to share those stories with our audience as well. Because even though it is their story, usually we are a part of their story in some way because we're helping enable their dream to come true. So I think that's really what helps us stand out. And I mean, I don't know about other industries necessarily, but I think when you are focused on the customer and telling your customer stories, I think you will win.
That's fantastic advice. Because even if you were to think about dating someone, if they're just talking about themselves the whole time and does not give
Yes.
any interest into you, man, I've been on a lot of those dates.
Yes.
That's a lot of questions.
You're like, oh, do you have any questions for me? Like,
Yeah, I have things to say. Great, highlighting the customer, absolutely. And we want to see ourselves in the products that we use. Um, oh man, I had something else I wanted to say about that. I loved that a lot. Um, oh, do you have a favorite story? I know there's probably so many, but of the stories you've highlighted, is there any that come to mind right now?
oh, there's too
Oh, so
many.
many.
I
Yeah.
can't I can't pick a favorite, but we make a lot of videos where we'll be talking to our customer and asking them to share our story. So if you check out NCR Voyix on LinkedIn or Instagram or your platform of choice, you can see some of our customer stories.
I just asked you to pick a favorite child. I apologize for that.
It's
But I
okay.
loved the LinkedIn shout out. If you want to check out on LinkedIn, because I will be there. I love
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Um, how does purpose drive marketing efforts within your organization? You kind of already went into it with how you guys focus on your consumers so much, but how does it drive everything else that you do?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, what everyone at NCR Voyix wants to see, whether they work in marketing, HR, finance, product, sales, engineering, we all want our customers to succeed. And if we can feel like we helped them succeed, mission accomplished. So like even in marketing and sales, which is like the area that I sit in, because I sit with the whole marketing team, but I sit near the sales team too. So I hear them hard at work every day. And while we obviously are trying to help NCR Voyix grow and gain new customers, we don't just want to sign a new customer and move on. You know, we truly want to see the customer succeed because their success is our success. And the more businesses that we can help accomplish that, the better. So that's really the purpose that kind of keeps all of us coming back here every day.
Amazing. What's a way? So you've talked a lot about how you guys are differentiating yourself in B2B marketing. What's a way to use AI that hasn't occurred to many people in terms of B2B marketing?
Yes, AI. The
The
term
hot
is
topic.
everywhere, yeah, today. Um, and it likely has occurred to many people already, but I'll say it anyway, because when I first started using generative AI and I was thinking about the prompts that I was giving it, like what can I inspire this engine to create for me? Um, but the thing is, AI can do so much more than create. It can summarize, it can consolidate, it can edit, it can make suggestions. And I was at a conference a few years back, and someone was saying that they put their social media listening data or their social media metrics into an AI engine and said, summarize this for me and tell me what the key learnings are from this data. And I remember that moment because I was like, mind blown. I was like, it never occurred to me to use an AI engine that way because I was only wondering what it could help me create rather than me like feeding it a ton of data or info and then helping me to like draw conclusions from it. So that was probably the biggest moment for me where I was like, whoa, are other people using AI this way? But then also, in terms of like career growth, I use it internally all the time. We have Copilot here at NCR Voyix, and I'll be like, "Hey, like my boss asked me for this and gave me this feedback. Like, how should I respond? Or like, what should I do next?" And Copilot kind of holds your hand and walks you through it, which has also been really helpful.
Fantastic. Yeah, we're AI driven as well at Setup, and I'm almost considering asking mine like, "Hey, how could I use you better?" Because I know we just had an article go around in our company that's just like it's here, it's gonna be here to stay, and how do you? It's already ahead of everyone basically, and whatever expertise they're in. So how do you just channel it to utilize it to the best of your ability? Um, and so, yeah, I wanted to tell me what I could be doing better.
Yeah.
Uh, how do you leverage that data in your day to day?
Oh, I mean, with marketing in general, it is critical to have data because we can't prove our value as marketers to the organization without data. The marketing team spends a lot of money, but it also has the ability to make the company a lot of money if we have the data to prove it. So, data is extremely important in my day to day on a smaller scale, just with me and my team member. Metrics, social, organic performance, those are numbers that I look at every single day, interpreting the data and making strategic content decisions. So, like, okay, what's working for us that we should lean into more, and what's not working for us that maybe we should back away from. As well as qualitative data, right? So, like, when we look at our social listening tool, what are people saying? You know, what are they saying? How can we join the conversation? Should we join the conversation? So there's all sorts of data that we look at regularly to optimize what we're doing and make sure that what we're doing is successful and we're not just spinning our wheels and, going through the motions.
Has anything stood out to you guys recently that you are leaning into that you're allowed to share?
Definitely video. I mean, I'm sure that's not a surprise, but there have been times where, especially at bigger trade shows, we would put a lot of effort into making videos and then we would share like just still images, and then the images were performing way better. So I was like, okay, that's weird because I would think the video would be doing better. Like algorithms love video content, the LinkedIn algorithm loves video content. Um, and it was really just due to the videos that we were creating. They weren't good enough. So then when we started putting more effort into that and making sure that we were creating videos that were engaging and that people wanted to see, that really helped us double down on, okay, people want to see video. The algorithm loves video. As long as it's not too long of a video, then video is the way to go. So we've been leaning into that quite a bit, as well as carousels on LinkedIn. We historically have not posted a lot of carousels, and we just kind of ramped that up in the last few months or so. And those are getting really great engagement. So we're definitely going to keep doing those as well.
Take note of that, every B2B social media marketer.
Yes.
We're also planning to lean into that as well. Hence this conversation. We love a good video and an interview.
Yes.
We just talked about AI, and I have one more question about it. How can marketing leaders balance automation and human creativity when integrating AI into their strategy?
Yeah, I mean, we have lots of creative people who are like very anti-AI because they're like, no, like you're gonna get rid of artists and like we want to have like original art, which I totally understand where they're coming from there. But the thing is, and I'm sure I'm definitely not the first person to say this. I'm sure I've heard it somewhere and I'm just regurgitating it, but AI is only as good as the prompt you give it. You can ask it to do all sorts of things, create all sorts of things, but there are elements and pieces that AI won't even really think of until you point it out. I mean, I know I've like even just personally, like on my phone, I'll be like playing around with ChatGPT and I'll like ask it to create something and then I'm like, something about this looks off. And then you have to like find the detail and be like, okay, like you need to fix this individual thing. And it's like, it couldn't come up with that on its own. I had to look at it and then realize like this is what needs to be fixed about this. Um, so I mean, to answer the question, I'd say twofold for marketing leaders. One, don't be afraid of using AI, trying out AI, asking it for ideas. And then also, as you go about using it and experimenting with it, and your team is experimenting with it, listen to your team members. And if they say, like, hey, like, I've been trying to get this to work, but it still just comes across as like AI slop, as the kids say. Maybe take that as a sign that it won't be as widely accepted by the general public either. Because everyone I've noticed, like everyone seems to interpret AI content differently. Like some people will be like, wow, this looks great. And then someone in the same room will be like, you think this looks great? So it just kind of depends on like what your experience is with it and what you've seen across the internet because we're all kind of on different internets as well, thanks to the different algorithms that we all have. So yeah,
Oh,
definitely don't be afraid to use it and listen to your team.
all right. I have a few more questions for you.
Mhm.
So, aside from your own, what brand social media marketing do you admire?
This is also kind of like asking me to pick a favorite child, but it's okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'll name a few. I'll name a few.
Okay, that's fair.
So, we recently, well, not recently, as of, I guess, the beginning of last year, we joined Threads. So we've been on Threads quite a bit, and Beyond Meat is hilarious on Threads. Love them. Um, on TikTok, everyone loves Duolingo. Duolingo's great. Slim Jim also has a killer commenting strategy on TikTok. Like, I'll just be scrolling and then I'll look at the comments and then, like, what is Slim Jim doing here? They've made some sort of like hilarious comment on a
Oh my
random
gosh.
TikTok.
I don't know if you watch Stranger Things, but
Yes.
Slim Jim was all over the gate, the theory, the ninth episode theory. They would comment on
Yes.
every single theory
Conformity
video,
gate.
which I was
Yeah.
also deep into, I'll admit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like everyone was like Slim Jim.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, and then also love everything Amtrak does. They do some really funny stuff. And kind of a niche one that I don't think most people would say is Regions Bank. I got to know the people who work on their social media through like a social media organization that I'm a part of. And because of that, I just started following them on Instagram and I was like, oh, I really love what they're doing. So that's a good follow on Instagram as well.
It seems like humor really attracts you. So it's again going back to that the humanness of people.
Right,
What does
right.
the bank do that's different, that's resonates with you?
Yeah, because they actually really don't lean in too much to humor, which is not surprising because they're a bank.
Yeah.
But I feel like they are a really great example of defining who they are and just kind of owning it and being really consistent with it. That was what I was most impressed with when I went through and looked at their social profiles and then started following them. I was like, okay, this like fits the Regions Bank personality as I have come to know it. And so the consistency, I think, is really going to pay off for them in the long run.
I love that. Now, we've talked a lot about other people, other brands, your brand, NCR Voyix. I would like to know a little bit more about Jenny. We got a sneak peek of like your career path, what led you here today. What is your secret sauce? You
My
get to brag
secret.
about yourself.
That's a great question. I mean, I would say in my day-to-day job, my secret sauce is definitely having the right tools in place. So we have tools that we use to manage all of our social media, to measure all of our social media, to listen to what people are saying on social media, and having a tool that you like and that you are familiar with and that you know the ins and outs of. I think that is the true secret sauce because I would be nothing without my tools. And so it's important when you're out shopping for tools and you're getting demos that you partner with a tool that can really help you succeed. Because that I think is what has been most important in my whole career is having those tools. And then just personally, my secret sauce would probably be having a good sense of humor about everything and not taking life too seriously.
Yeah, since I met you, you've just always been such a joy, such a friendly presence, just someone willing to laugh or smile. It's really just a delight to meet you and know you. Uh,
Thank
but last question, unless there's anything else we want to expand on, what brings you joy?
Oh, what brings me joy? The first thing that comes to mind is definitely dogs. I love dogs. Um, we've got one at home. She's a little firecracker. But we don't deserve dogs. And actually, speaking of social media, there's a great dog account called We Rate Dogs. And the guy who runs it is awesome. He has like a foundation where he donates the proceeds to save and rescue dogs and get them adopted. And he has a weekly series. The dogs were good again this week. Here are my top five. It comes out on Fridays, so there should be a new one today. And then he takes us through the top five dogs of the week, and it's just a reminder that dogs are too good for us.
Oh, and obviously they're all ranked 10 out of 10, right? All dogs are 10s.
Yes. So his foundation, I believe, is called the 13 out of 10 Foundation because no dog gets less than a 10 out of 10 rating. And then I think the highest he's ever given is like a 17 out of 10. So
Fair enough. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share or expand on before we say goodbye?
I don't think so, but this was an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on.
Jenny, thank you so much for being a part of Marketing Mindset.